Hi guys, I hope you're having a good night. I thought I would read some stories to you guys I found online. Some stories of real ghost stories from hospice nurses. Though they call them ghost stories on here. They scared them, so that's why they call them ghost stories. Because it scared the hospice nurses. So that's why they called them ghost stories. But I'm going to read you guys a few of them. Excuse me. The hiccups here. The first one is called The Vanishing Girl. Hospice nurses experience a lot of things in their job with the dying. There's a really good video on YouTube that I watched. It's a long video. What is that noise in there?
Where?
You got the coffee pot on or something?
And where?
In the kitchen. I keep hearing something hissing or something. Or is it that air freshener? It's probably that air freshener. Never mind. We got one of those air fresheners that keeps puffing out every now and then.
It's either the one in the kitchen or the one in the bathroom.
Yeah, I keep
I mean, the one in the bedroom.
We just got those yesterday and they're still freaking me out. I ain't used to it yet. But on YouTube, they got a hospice nurse that worked for 40 years as a hospice nurse, this woman. And she's really nice. And she tells her stories of working with her patients and all the stories she has. It's just amazing of the stuff she's seen. You guys should really look it up. Just like type in a hospice nurse for 40 years and it should bring her up. It's really worth a watch. I'm sorry, my eyes are watering all the time. Alright, let's start with the first one, The Vanishing Girl. I was a new nurse at our hospital and only been working there a couple of months. I had brought a patient of mine up to day surgery from the ER for an endoscopy. Had 2 of those. And they called back down and asked me to bring her family up because she only spoke Italian and not enough English. And they needed someone to consent for the procedure. After dropping them off, I walked past the waiting room to head back down the hall to the elevators. I took the back way to get to the ER and the hallways, and all deserted. It used to be the pediatric wing of the hospital, but that is all shut down for years, and the rooms are just empty and full of broken equipment and beds and crap. As I reached the old nurses' station at the T-junction between the pediatric hallway in the hallway that goes to the elevators, I saw a little girl standing across from the nurses' station further down the hall. She had big pigtails, was wearing a brown dress, white shoes, holding a teddy bear. I thought perhaps she was a family member who had walked away from the day surgery waiting room. I was concerned that she would go into one of the rooms and get hurt or lost. So I said, "Hey little girl, what are you doing? You don't need to be over there. You're going to get hurt." And I walked around the nurse's station to go grab her hand and bring her back. Crap you not, she vanished. As I got about 15 feet away from her, every hair on my body stood up straight, and I turned and ran like a bat out of hell down to the elevator. I pounded that button for what seemed like an eternity until the elevator got to the floor. As I got back to the ER, I walked up to the nurse's desk, white as a sheet, and one of the older nurses looked at me and said, "Jesus." I'm not going to say the other word. "What's wrong with you?" I remember babbling like an idiot as I tried to tell them what happened. After listening to me for a moment or two, the nurse said, "Oh, you saw the little girl ghost. She's been around here for years." And I remember saying, "Well, thanks for telling me about it before this." Apparently the ghost has been seen down in the ER ducking in and out of patients' rooms and peeking around curtains. My wife worked up on the 7th floor, and she said that on nights, a whole row of patient rooms started yelling about a little girl that was running around in the rooms. I guess she gets around. And that was number 1. The Vanishing Girl. Alright. And this one's a short one. Like the dead are leaving the hospital. I work in intensive care, a small community hospital. We have a 9-bed unit that is completely closed off from the medical floor via 2 doorways. 2 nights ago, we were all sitting at the station charting when we all heard footsteps coming down the hall. It's a completely open unit where you can see every room from everywhere. No one was in the unit with us. CT is below us, and they close at 5 unless the emergency comes in. And we only have people on the 2nd floor. The 3rd is used as storage, so no one was above us. It happened 2 or 3 times. Then last night, cupboard doors kept opening and shutting in the 2 empty rooms. I finally asked my coworker what was going on, and she just told me that it usually happens after someone passes, especially if it was sudden. We had 2 codes last week that we lost, and I guess everyone has had weird stuff happening for a couple days. Sorry, I gotta continue. Oh, I guess that was the end of that one. These are very short and end weird. And they got cuss words in them, so I'm trying to skip over them or word them differently. So if I'm pausing, that's why. I'll read a couple more. They're very short. This one is called The Man with a Striped Shirt. Not mine, but a fellow nurse of mine. We were talking about patients' hallucinations. Don't get me started with that. When we told me about this time, he was walking past a patient's room, an elderly woman with dementia, and she was chatting up a storm with someone. He asked her who she was chatting to, and the woman replied, "That nice man in the black and white striped shirt." A while later, he went into another patient's with dementia room, and that different patient asked where the man with the striped shirt had gone. Maybe the nurse was crazy. They always think if you they always think if you see someone or something that they cannot see, that you are having hallucinations, that you are crazy. It makes me so mad. I don't like to say this, I don't like to tell this to people, but I see things. I have for a long time now. Very, very clearly. Very clearly. And a lot. And when I tell very, very few people, and when I do, I'm crazy. It's hallucinations, I'm crazy, it's my medicine, you're schizophrenic, you're just crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy. So, if they can't see it, they don't believe you. So that just makes me so mad. Yes, some people, maybe they are hallucinating, but not everybody that sees things are hallucinating. Like the people with, like the people that are dying, and they see their loved ones and stuff. They think those people are crazy. They're not crazy. There's been people in our family that are dying, and they've seen people and are talking to them, and, you know, people didn't believe them, and they said, you know, you can go ahead and leave, because I'm not going to die tonight because so-and-so was going to happen, and I'm going to die tomorrow. And, you know, people just comforted them, but didn't really believe it, you know, but just comforted them to, you know, make them feel better, and left. But then something really did happen like they said, and then they died the next day. Everything happened just like they said. They know what they're talking about, you know. I could go on and on. There is life after death. There is a God. There is God. There is Jesus. Our loved ones are still here. They're going to be waiting for us. There's angels around us. Our loved ones are around us. Okay, number 4. Don't let them take me. The best I have heard is from a nurse who said that one night she was floated to oncology, which is the cancer part of the hospital, at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room, and the patient was at the top of the bed and looked at her and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse was freaked out and asked her who was going to take her, and she said, "That black thing up there," and pointed up in the air. This patient died within minutes. So good for her. Number 5. An unexplained black shape. One night I was caring for a dying male patient. He was scared, and I spent quite some time with him, trying to calm and reassure him. Eventually he calmed, and I left the bedside and went over to the nurse's station, which was about 15 feet away. As I sat down, I glanced over to him, and there was a black shape standing over the bed, looking down at the patient. I was terrified, and I am sure it was something evil. I have seen evil things. This one's a little bit longer than the others. In 2 places at once. I used to work in a state institute for developmentally disabled. We were temporarily relocated to another building for remodeling of our building. Anyways, I was working one night, second shift. We had a locked pick-a unit. I saw one of the residents walking down the hall. Very distinct gait and very distinct yellow t-shirt with a happy face on it. I went into the ward to let staff know that they had an escapee. This was a serious situation because this particular resident, Larry, would ingest absolutely anything from clothing to pins to belts to a bird's head. Literally anything. He was also very reluctant to go back to his home ward, hence why I didn't bring him back myself. He needed 2 escorts. When we got back into the hall less than 15 seconds later, Larry was gone. We searched the entire building, outside, downstairs, all wards. He was nowhere to be found. This whole search lasted less than 10 minutes because I had all extra staff looking for him. I was just about to call the house supervisor to let her know that we lost someone when out from the bathroom walks Larry with one of the staff. He had been getting his bath in the bathroom for the last 30 minutes or so. Kind of freaky. I absolutely, without a doubt, saw Larry in the hallway. I never would have short-staffed the ward like I did if I hadn't seen him. Like I said, very distinctive gait. Very distinctive clothing. I took a lot of razzing that night. They all thought that I was crazy. Anyways, come to find out the next day after the story goes around that I am crazy, Larry had an identical twin brother who died in that building 10 years previously. And the last one I'm going to read for you guys tonight is The Grandchild, number 7. We had a black girl about 10 in ICU that was severely injured in a car accident. Lots of brain damage. She didn't die there, but was moved to another facility after weeks and weeks. After that, I know of 3 older black males in their 50s that, if they were even mildly sedated, would ask about the little black girl with the ribbon in her hair who was sitting at the foot of their beds. One guy said she asked me how I was doing and then got up and walked that way. She walked that way. While he was pointing towards the second floor window, he paused. A wide-eyed look came over his face, and then he said, "But I guess she really couldn't have left the room that way, huh?" Personally, I think she was taking care of grandfatherly figures. So apparently the little girl passed away when she went to the other hospital. There's 49 stories altogether, but I want to go ahead and stop with number 7 because I don't want to make this video too long for you guys. I probably won't read no more of these. They're too short, and a lot of them's got cuss words in them. Okay, so I'll tell you guys a story of one of the near-death experiences that happened in our family. My uncle's mom was in a nursing home, and she was dying. She was really sick, and her kids and everybody was there, and they was all afraid to leave because they didn't want to go home and her die. They wanted to be there when she died, and she told them to go home because she wasn't going to die that night, because there was going to be a big train wreck that night in town, and the angels and everybody were going to be needed to take the people that died on the train wreck that night, and they wasn't going to take her that night. They were going to take her tomorrow. She was going to die tomorrow. So she told them to go home. So, they didn't really, think it was going to happen, but they went home, and there was a big train accident that night, and a lot of people died. And, you know, it's not that big of a town. And that's, you know, it's really rare to have an accident like that in that town. Because like I said, it's not that big of a town at all. And there was a bad train accident that night and a lot of people died, and the next day she did die. She did pass away in the nursing home like she said she was going to. So that was one of the stories I was telling you guys about. And it happened, so. You can hear a lot of near-death experiences, people's near-death experiences where they've died on the table being operated on, or whatever happened to them, where they've went to heaven or hell and was sent back. You can see tons of videos of those on YouTube. I've watched tons of them. They're really good. Some people have got to go experience what hell's like and be sent back for a second chance. And you ought to see those. And there's some on there where atheists, really bad, really bad people. I mean, there's one on there where this guy, he was sacrificing stuff to Satan. He worshipped Satan and was sacrificing stuff to Satan all the time. And he died and went to hell. And when he was brought back to life, he turned his life around and became a Christian. And I mean, he had tattoos on his face, satanic tattoos on his face and everything. I mean, that's how he was so worshipped into Satan. But after he experienced hell from that near-death experience, well, he loves the Lord now. And he was on there telling people about it too. How much he loves the Lord, and he's living his life for the Lord now. He got a second chance. I'm telling you, buddy, he is grateful for that second chance. He ain't worshiping Satan anymore. So you guys should really get on there and watch some of them. Really good. And those people are really lucky to get their second chances. Some people that don't believe don't get second chances like that. They just don't believe, and then they pass away, and then that's it for them. God gives people so many chances to repent and change their lives around. So many people just waste it. And it's sad. We should be trying to bring each other to Jesus while they still got time. Because any of us can die in a blink of an eye. Young or old. Alright guys, well I'll let you guys go. Sure.
Yes.
I will let you guys go. I hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Can't believe it's almost 10:30 already. 10:30 p.m. Try and keep warm, you guys. It's pretty cold out there. Have a good night, guys. Bye.